Most of the sessions in this culinary medicine course focus on techniques that will help you to prepare simple, healthy dishes. And each session builds on the skills learned in prior sessions. The goal is that by the end of the program, you really have a full toolbox of all the major techniques that you need to make foods from around the world. Today we'll learn the techniques of sauté, stir fry, simmer, and we'll discuss braise, although we won't actually do it in a recipe. These techniques have a lot of overlap and are used in a variety of cuisines from around the world. Today we'll highlight East Asian and South Asian flavors, so you can see a stir fry and a curry. We'll show you how to do them plant-based and also how to add some seafood to them. And once you master these techniques, you'll actually be well on your way to being able to have a little bit of freedom from recipes. And so one thing that I didn't get a chance to mention earlier is that you really don't get bonus points unless you're baking for following recipes. And so I really want to encourage you, as you build on your cooking skills, to think about what the purpose of each ingredient in the recipes is. And you can think about alternatives, maybe even do that as homework. Think through, if I'm adding oil, what is that for? If I'm adding cauliflower, what is that for? And you can think about alterations. And that's especially important in one of the recipes we'll make today, the vegetable curry, because there are a lot of ingredients. Maybe they're not all things you have in your kitchen, but you can make some modifications and still come up with a great dish. And that's true for most dishes when you're cooking. We also will highlight something called the protein flip. And that is a really great tool if you're someone who has had a really meat-centric diet. And as we've been discussing over and over in the program, we're really trying to shift to having most, or all is also totally fine, of what's on your plate be plant-based foods. And so if you are including things like lean proteins, or even if you're not ready to move away from things like red or processed meat, if you're having small portions, say when we do the stir fry, if you wanted to have yours be beef and broccoli, for example, instead of having a big 8-ounce steak on your plate, or maybe even larger, you could have a couple of ounces of cubed beef sautéed, or stir fried, I should say, with the broccoli, and it can really quench that craving that you have for the meat, but in a much smaller portion. And it also gives you this idea of abundance on the plate, because if you just take a big piece of meat and shrink it down, then you're just going to feel like you have an empty plate and there's a lot missing. Learning new cooking techniques where you can, have a larger amount of something on the plate, so that mix of, in that same example, the beef and broccoli, then you can have, a full, beautiful, colorful plate, and you're not feeling like you're depriving yourself by just cutting back on something. So again, we want to highlight, adding to, having delicious flavors, really enjoying our food, eating with our eyes first, and not thinking about the restriction side of things so much. And so let's go ahead and get started with session 2.